You're watching Monday's Eye on Africa. I'm James Creedon. Here are our headlines. A military coup has taken place in Burkina Faso. President Roch Kaboré has been forced to stand down. We'll bring you all the latest on a rollercoaster day in Ouagadougou. At least 17 people have died in the Cameroonian capital Yaoundé after a nightclub went up in flames. 7 more were badly injured by explosions set off by the blaze. The Gambia continues their winning streak in the African Cup of Nations. We'll hear more from France 24's James Vicina about their win over Guinea earlier today. Thanks for watching. Now, a military coup has taken place in Burkina Faso. Soldiers took to the airwaves of the state broadcaster earlier today to announce that Roch Kaboré had resigned. The constitution has been suspended. The government dissolved, as well as the parliament. Land and air borders have been shut. A 9 p.m. curfew has been put in place also until 5 a.m. Let's take a listen to the military making that announcement that they had seized the reins of power.
This movement, bringing together all components of the defence and security forces, has decided to put an end to the rule of Roch Marc Christian Kaboré on this, the 24th of January 2022. A decision made solely to put our country back on the right track and to bring together our forces to fight for the territorial integrity of our country, the recovery of our country, and the sovereignty of our country.
Let's take a listen to some of those who took to the streets of the capital today. They appear mostly in favour of the day's events.
We are here today to support our army that decided to save our lives. We are here today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. We support our army.
What is going on here at the moment? Nothing is going well. We expected a lot from President Roch, and he has only disappointed people more with new appointments. Always with a new government, but he was the real problem.
We've been protesting for 3 days. There have been 7 years since President Kaboré took power, and a lot of blood has been shed. Burkina Faso is suffering.
Earlier, I spoke to Sam Mednick, who has been following events for France 24 today in Ouagadougou. Let's take a listen to her.
So it's unclear as to where President Kaboré is. What we've been told by the military soldiers who have taken over is that he's in a safe place and that he signed a letter of resignation. That's what a few people have told me. But we do not know where he is at the moment, that he's in the country, but he's safe.
OK, and give us some background into what happened today, why it happened. Now, just for those unfamiliar with the situation in Burkina Faso, he was a democratically elected president in 2015, re-elected, this in a country with a long history of military dictatorships. And now the military have overthrown him. How did it come to this?
Yes, I mean, he was democratically elected in 2015 after, like you said, they overthrew Blaise Compaoré, who was in power for 30 years. And he was democratically elected. Everyone was really happy. But when he came to power, jihadist violence started taking over the country. 6 years, it has ravaged the country. People are dying, and the military has been very, very affected by this. They have never really experienced war. They feel like they're under-equipped, they're under-trained, and that the government didn't have a strategy. And many say that the government didn't really have their backs. So this has been growing. Frustration has been growing among the military and among civilians for weeks, for months and weeks, especially as attacks have intensified. There's been growing protests. And so while this wasn't necessarily foreseen, the tension has been growing in the country, and there were coup rumblings for quite some time.
And Sam, without going into too much detail on this, it's happened just months after a coup over the border in Mali. There is a lot of regional insecurity right now, isn't there? And I suppose ECOWAS, the regional bloc, they're going to have a lot of, struggles in the days and weeks ahead. Have we heard anything from ECOWAS or any other regional reactions?
Yeah, so ECOWAS has put out a statement, and they said that there's great concern about the political and security situation in the country, and that they hold the military responsible for the physical integrity of the president. And it demanded that the soldiers return to their barracks and maintain a Republican situation, and they favored dialogue with authorities to resolve problems. So ECOWAS has put out a statement, and people that I spoke to tonight in the capital have just said that they are prepared for sanctions from ECOWAS, like what happened in Mali, but to them they feel like it's worth it, and they're prepared to accept them.
The US has called for the immediate release of Roch Kaboré. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, for his part, strongly condemned the coup, and earlier the EU also issued a condemnation. Let's take a listen to the High Commissioner for Foreign Affairs, Joseph Borrell.
Over the course of today, the news has gone from bad to worse, and we now know that President Kaboré is under the control of the army. We call for the respect of constitutional order and the release of President Kaboré.
Now, at least 17 people have died in Yaoundé, the capital of the Cameroon, after a fire erupted at a popular nightclub there. 7 more revellers were seriously injured in the incident. The tragedy occurred as Cameroon hosts the Africa Cup of Nations tournament. Shirley Sitbon has the details on that tragedy.
Investigators are still examining the exact circumstances of the fire and explosions at the Lives nightclub in the upscale Bastos district of Yaoundé. It appears the fire started when fireworks were used inside the main room to mark a celebration.
In nightclubs like this, they are used to serving champagne with fireworks. It seems that on Sunday morning, one of those fireworks was more powerful than the others, and it's believed to have reached the ceiling of this cultural space, causing fire by accident. This fire consumed a lower part of the ceiling and then another section of it. This led to 2 explosions.
The fire may have spread to an area where cooking gas was stored, which may have made the explosion all the more powerful. At the time of the explosion, the nightclub was packed. Frightened people blocked inside the building in flames rushed to leave, but exit corridors were reportedly narrow, and this led to a stampede. The fire comes as Cameroon hosts the Africa Cup of Nations, with visitors from across the world. Authorities issued a statement telling football players and fans they are safe and calling on everyone to remain cautious.
Now, it's bad news for Senegal's President Macky Sall, with disappointing results for his ruling party in local elections. The Senegalese went to the polls yesterday, Sunday, in a vote widely being interpreted as a bellwether for parliamentary elections this coming June. Now, Sall's Benno Bokk Yaka party has conceded defeat in the capital Dakar and the southern city of Ziguinchor in those local elections. Senegal is long considered one of Africa's most stable democracies, but there have been growing tensions over whether Macky Sall will seek to extend his rule beyond the 2-term limit. Now, the Gambia qualified for their first ever Africa Cup of Nations tournament this year, and their winning spree continues this Monday. They've pulled off another victory over Guinea. James Vecina is in Bafoussam, where that match took place in Cameroon.
Will they continue their winning ways? Who thought that they were going to manage to get so far? They managed to cruise through that group stage with 7 points in the end. And today, will they manage to beat Guinea 1-0-0? A very, very defensive game. But they did manage to finally break that deadlock to get the winning goal. But of course, they really were trying to push everything forwards, because it was now or never for them. Guinea, however, who were without some of their star players. Naby Keita had picked up a second yellow card in their last group game. That was against Zimbabwe. Isiaga Silla was out as well. So, of course, that did affect their form. But today, well, the Gambia are thrilled. The nation, the fans who we've heard, and the coach and the players who we've been speaking to, of course, are living this. It's a moment of history for them. It's their first time taking part in the tournament, and this is how far they're going. So they march in to that quarter-final, still to come in a couple of days' time. They will have time to rest from it. But it's a fantastic, I can't even say start anymore, but campaign in the Cup, because no one was going to see these underdogs who are, together with Comoros, are the only two never have taken part, to get so far and really to be shining and lifting the moods of many fans and the stadiums around.
And James, we have the result for Cameroon over Comoros, that result just in. Tell us more about that.
Just finished, James. Well, look, there's not much of a surprise there. The surprise would have been had things gone the other way around. Look, it was a very complicated situation. Comoros have an outbreak of COVID-19 in their squad. And because of the regulations, well, so long as they have 11 players fit to play, well, they have to take to the field, even if they don't have a goalkeeper. So they've had to field an outfield player, one of their defenders, in the goal, which naturally has no chance up against, on the other side, Onana, world-class goalkeeper. Well, of course, for the Comoros, and there was no start to the game ever for them. They did manage to slot one in, which you have to give it to them. And kind of surprisingly, Cameroon not managing to capitalise on more goals than that, 2-1. It's a decent score. But look, neither of the players on the field from one side or the other are responsible for any of this. And of course, it would have been difficult for the Cameroonian players to come up against a team that was weakened by them. Weakened also because that red card that was given in the 7th minute in the beginning of the game. So no chance for the Comoros today. The Cameroon qualify for their quarter-final against the Gambia. Great for them, but of course there's no celebration around this because of the circumstances. Then of course it's difficult for any player there, and it's a very difficult and bizarre game that has taken place tonight.
That's all for this edition of Eye on Africa. Thanks for watching. Do stay tuned.